Forget the massive studio blockbusters dominating the front page. Max is secretly hoarding a goldmine of brilliant, under-the-radar cinema that you are scrolling right past. We are talking about gritty nocturnal thrillers, brilliant neo-noirs, and psychological masterclasses that treat the audience with absolute respect. If you appreciate incredible character work and films that actually leave a lasting impact, grab a drink and settle in. Here are 15 hidden art house gems on Max you need to watch immediately. Number 15. This Is Not a War Story, 2021. We are kicking off this list with a film that completely redefines the modern combat narrative. Directed by and starring Talia Lugosi, this is a profoundly unique hybrid production that blurs the line between fiction and documentary. The film tracks a ragtag group of combat veterans in New York City who utilize an incredible anti-war art process, literally shredding their old military uniforms and turning them into handmade paper to cope with the crushing psychological weight of their service. What makes this production an absolute standout is its commitment to staggering authenticity. Talia Lugosi spent years immersing herself in the veteran community, casting genuine veterans from World War II, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan to play supporting roles and share their actual, unscripted poetry and artwork on screen. To maintain this incredibly intimate atmosphere, the crew operated with absolute minimalism. There were no walkie-talkies allowed on set, and cell phones were strictly banned within 200 feet of the single camera they used. It is a raw, agonizingly real exploration of trauma and moral injury that skips the typical Hollywood explosions in favor of quiet, devastating human connection. For anyone who appreciates the gritty, grounded realism of mid-century cinema, this is an absolute must-watch. Number 14. A Rodeo Film, 2019. Clocking in at just under 20 minutes, this incredibly tight, award-winning short film packs more emotional weight than most massive Hollywood features. Written and directed by Darius Dawson, the narrative explores the fascinating, rarely depicted world of black cowboys in rural Oklahoma. The story follows a conflicted bull rider who must choose between his family's deep-rooted rodeo legacy and his own desperate desire to escape a toxic, simmering brotherly rivalry. The behind-the-scenes lore here is fascinating. Darius Dawson originally developed the concept while studying film in Singapore, utilizing his profound feelings of isolation to fuel the script's themes of brotherly love and betrayal. Despite operating on a strict American Film Institute student budget, the production managed to capture a breathtaking, genuinely dangerous live bull ride. Darius Dawson's masterful, atmospheric direction earned him the top student prize from the Directors Guild of America, and even caught the eye of legendary filmmaker Peter Farrelly, who personally mentored him after seeing the project. It is a stunning, beautifully shot modern Western that captures the dust, sweat, and agonizing moral choices of the frontier with absolute perfection. Number 13. Support the Girls, 2018. If you have ever worked a soul-crushing service industry job, this movie will feel like a documentary. Directed by the brilliant indie auteur Andrew Bujalski, the film takes place over the course of one incredibly stressful day at a fictional Texas-based sports bar that heavily relies on its scantily clad waitstaff. Regina Hall gives the performance of a lifetime as Lisa, the fiercely protective, perpetually exhausted general manager who spends her shift desperately trying to keep the business afloat while shielding her young employees from aggressive customers, a terrible boss, and their own bad decisions. Andrew Bujalski utilizes a brilliant, fly-on-the-wall observational style that makes the dialogue feel completely unscripted. Instead of looking down on the characters or turning them into cheap punchlines, the film treats these working-class women with profound empathy and sharp sociological insight. It is a hilarious, deeply humane character study that perfectly captures the exhausting, chaotic reality of managing human beings in a late capitalist world. Number 12. The Tale, 2018. Memory is not a video recording, it is a constantly shifting, deeply unreliable survival mechanism. That is the terrifying psychological premise at the heart of Jennifer Fox's grueling, masterful drama. Laura Dern delivers a towering performance as a documentary filmmaker who discovers an old middle school essay she wrote, forcing her to completely reevaluate a supposedly loving relationship she had with two older coaches when she was 13 years old. The film operates as a brilliant, cinematic memoir, actively demonstrating how a child's brain bends and shapes horrific trauma into a palatable, fictional narrative just to survive the psychological damage. Jennifer Fox fearlessly dives into her own real-life history, utilizing a fragmented, puzzle-like editing style where the protagonist literally interviews her younger self and interrogates the ghosts of her past. It is a brave, relentlessly confrontational film that completely bypasses the standard tropes of true crime thrillers to deliver a profound meditation on denial, agency, and the agonizing process of discovering your own truth. Number 11. Good Time, 2017. Before they gave everyone a collective panic attack with uncut gems, the Safdie brothers unleashed this neon-drenched, adrenaline-fueled nightmare. Robert Pattinson completely disappears into the role of Connie Nikas, a slick, manipulative bank robber who drags his developmentally disabled brother into a botched heist. This triggers a desperate, chaotic, nocturnal odyssey across the grimy underbelly of New York City to scrounge up bail money while dodging local police and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The production utilized incredibly stressful guerrilla filmmaking tactics, shooting on the actual crowded streets of Queens with long lenses hidden inside vans to capture genuine, unscripted reactions from oblivious pedestrians. Robert Pattinson stayed in character for months, wandering the city streets unnoticed to perfect his frantic, street-level energy. The psychological tension is almost unbearable, amplified by a thumping, claustrophobic electronic score by One-O-Trix Point Never. It is a spectacular, anxiety-inducing neo-noir that moves at a breakneck pace, proving that the most dangerous monsters are often just desperate men running out of time. Number 10. The Lobster, 2015. Yorgos Lanthimos is the undisputed king of modern cinematic absurdity, and this pitch-black dystopian comedy is arguably his masterpiece. Set in a bleak, rigidly structured society where being single is strictly illegal, recently divorced adults are sent to a bizarre, oppressive hotel. They are given exactly 45 days to find a romantic partner. If they fail, they are surgically transformed into an animal of their choosing and released into the wild woods. Colin Farrell gained 40 pounds to play the sad, incredibly mundane protagonist who simply wants to be turned into a lobster. The film is a razor-sharp, hilarious satire of modern dating culture, societal pressure, and the terrifying, arbitrary rules we place on human relationships. Yorgos Lanthimos forces his actors to deliver their lines with a completely deadpan, emotionless cadence, making the sudden eruptions of violence and bizarre romantic rituals feel incredibly shocking. It is a surreal, unforgettable exploration of loneliness that will completely rewire the way you view romantic compatibility. Number 9. Ex Machina, 2015. Science fiction does not always require massive space battles. Sometimes, the most terrifying concept is simply two people talking in a locked room. Written and directed by Alex Garland, this sleek, minimalist thriller follows a young programmer who wins a contest to spend a week at the ultra-remote, high-tech compound of his billionaire CEO boss, a brilliant doctor of computer science, played with terrifying, chaotic arrogance by Oscar Isaac. The programmer is tasked with administering the Turing test to a highly advanced humanoid robot named Ava, assessing whether her artificial intelligence is genuinely conscious or merely simulating human emotion. The production design is absolutely flawless. Alex Garland utilized the stunning, real-world architecture of the Juvet Landscape Hotel in Norway to create a compound that feels both incredibly beautiful and suffocatingly claustrophobic. The film is a brilliant, methodical game of psychological chess, constantly shifting the power dynamic between the three characters as they manipulate, seduce, and lie to one another. It is a chilling, intellectual masterpiece that asks profound questions about consciousness, control, and the morality of playing God. Number 8. Lost River, 2014. Ryan Gosling stepped behind the camera for his directorial debut to deliver this deeply atmospheric, under-the-radar dark fantasy. Set against the crumbling, economically devastated ruins of a fictionalized Detroit, the narrative follows a single mother being pulled into a macabre, highly secretive underworld, while her teenage son discovers a mysterious, flooded town hidden deep underwater. Ryan Gosling wears his cinematic influences proudly on his sleeve, combining the neon-soaked, ultra-violent aesthetic of Nicholas Refn with the surreal nightmare logic of David Lynch. The crew utilized actual abandoned, decaying neighborhoods in Detroit, incorporating the city's genuine urban blight into the gorgeous, dreamlike cinematography shot by Benoit Deby. While it sharply divided critics upon its initial release, the film has rightfully developed a passionate cult following for its ambitious fairy tale approach to poverty and exploitation. It is a strange, visually intoxicating neo-noir that prioritizes mood and hypnotic imagery over traditional plot structures, demanding to be experienced late at night. Number 7. Beasts of the Southern Wild, 2012. Shot entirely on warm, grainy 16mm film, this breathtaking lyrical fable feels like a forgotten piece of mythology pulled straight from the muddy waters of the Louisiana Bayou. Directed by Ben Zeitlin and produced by the grassroots filmmaking collective Court 13, the story follows a fierce, incredibly resilient 6-year-old girl named Hush Puppy. She lives with her ailing father in a marginalized, deeply impoverished coastal community known as the Bathtub, which is slowly being destroyed by rising floodwaters and the apocalyptic return of prehistoric, horned creatures called aurochs. The production relied almost entirely on non-professional actors cast straight from the local Louisiana parishes, including the miraculous Kuvanjane Wallace, who became the youngest person ever nominated for the Best Actress Academy Award. The filmmakers actually built the dilapidated, beautiful sets by hand, using salvaged garbage and local scrap metal, giving the entire movie a deeply authentic, tactile texture. It is a poetic, deeply emotional portrait of childhood survival, environmental collapse, and the fierce, unbreakable bond between a dying father and his daughter. Number 6. The Daytrippers, 1997. Before Greg Mottola went on to direct massive studio comedies, he crafted this brilliant, shoestring-budget indie miracle that perfectly captures the claustrophobic anxiety of family road trips. The premise is delightfully simple. After discovering a mysterious love letter that suggests her husband is having an affair, a woman packs her entire dysfunctional family, including her sardonic sister, her silent father, and her incredibly overbearing mother, into a station wagon to hunt him down across Manhattan. The production lore is legendary. Funded partially by Steven Soderbergh with a microscopic budget of just $60,000, the crew faced an absolute nightmare when their incredibly expensive camera was stolen right off the truck on the very first day of shooting. Despite the setback, Greg Mottola utilized free locations and favored long, dialogue-heavy takes to showcase the stupendous ensemble cast, featuring a young Parker Posey, Stanley Tucci, and Liev Schreiber. It is a masterclass in independent filmmaking, seamlessly blending goofy, slapstick awkwardness with deeply uncomfortable, painfully realistic family drama. Number 5. Metropolitan, 1990. If F. Scott Fitzgerald had written a script about the Manhattan socialite scene in the late 80s, it would look exactly like Whit Stillman's brilliant, dialogue-heavy debut. The film closely follows a group of wealthy, highly educated, and incredibly pretentious young debutantes who gather in upscale apartments to endlessly debate philosophy, literature, and the imminent doom of their own privileged social class. Into this exclusive, insular world walks Tom, a cynical, middle-class outsider who claims to be a socialist, but finds himself slowly seduced by the glamorous, anachronistic lifestyle. Whit Stillman famously financed the tight $200,000 budget by literally selling his own apartment, shooting late at night in borrowed living rooms to capture the authentic, bourgeois atmosphere. The film plays like a modern Jane Austen novel. There are no massive explosions or car chases, just incredibly sharp, witty dialogue and complex character dynamics that slowly peel back the profound insecurities of the American upper crust. It is a cozy, highly literate masterpiece that treats its highly flawed characters with a surprising amount of genuine affection. Number 4. Days of Being Wild, 1990. Wong Kar-wai is a true master of mood, and this poetic, deeply melancholic film established the breathtaking visual style that would eventually define his legendary career. Set in the humid, neon-lit landscape of 1960s Hong Kong, the narrative centers around a devastatingly handsome, highly manipulative playboy who ruthlessly breaks the hearts of several different women while aggressively searching for his biological mother. The film heavily utilizes the groundbreaking step-printing cinematography technique pioneered by Christopher Doyle, creating a smeared, dreamlike visual aesthetic that perfectly captures the agonizing, slow passage of time and the heavy weight of unrequited love. The production famously went wildly over budget, leading to the cancellation of a planned sequel, but the resulting film stands alone as an incredibly influential, hypnotic piece of cinema. It is a moody, atmospheric exploration of longing, identity, and the destructive nature of restless youth, appealing directly to anyone who appreciates the slow, smoldering tension of classic romantic dramas. Number 3. Babette's Feast, 1987. This quiet Danish masterpiece is a profound, deeply spiritual exploration of the transformative power of art and culinary perfection. Set in a bleak, rigidly pious 19th-century coastal village, the story follows two aging ascetic sisters who take in a mysterious French refugee named Babette. After winning the lottery, Babette requests permission to cook one massive, authentic French meal for the austere, deeply conservative villagers who have shunned earthly pleasures for their entire lives. The production actually hired a master French chef to painstakingly recreate the decadent, historical menu on screen, including the legendary turtle soup and caviar-topped blinis. The film operates as a brilliant, subtle psychological study. We watch the hardened, deeply repressed villagers slowly thaw, their long-held grudges dissolving as they consume a meal that transcends simple nourishment and becomes an act of divine, profound grace. It is a gorgeous, life-affirming film that moves at a gentle, deliberate pace, rewarding patient viewers with one of the most heartwarming, deeply satisfying finales in the history of foreign cinema. Number 2. Kiss of the Spider-Woman, 1985. Directed by Hector Babenco, this bold, introspective drama explores the agonizing reality of political imprisonment by brilliantly blending harsh, gritty realism with the glamorous, Sweeping fantasy of classic Hollywood cinema. Set in a filthy, oppressive Brazilian prison cell, the story focuses on two cellmates who could not be more different: a hardened, deeply cynical Marxist political revolutionary and a flamboyant, transgender woman incarcerated for her sexuality. To escape the daily torture and crushing isolation, the two begin sharing elaborate, highly detailed stories of old romantic propaganda films, slowly forging an impossible, deeply moving bond. William Hurt won the Academy Award for his breathtaking, highly sensitive performance, capturing the delicate balance between profound suffering and unbreakable human resilience. The film is a masterclass in psychological character development, utilizing the claustrophobic setting to explore complex themes of gender, political devotion, and the absolute necessity of escapism. It is a harrowing, beautifully acted triumph that commands your absolute attention from the opening frame. Number 1. The Naked Kiss, 1964. We are closing out the list with a certified masterpiece of independent art house pulp. Directed by the legendary Samuel Fuller, this provocative, boundary-pushing neo-noir opens with one of the most shocking, chaotic sequences of the decade. A violent, kinetic fight scene where a sex worker brutally beats her pimp, losing her wig and revealing her completely shaved head in the process. Fleeing her past, she arrives in a quiet, idyllic small town, desperately trying to go straight by working as a nurse in a children's hospital, only to slowly uncover that the town's wealthy, highly respected citizens are hiding secrets far more depraved than her own. Samuel Fuller shot the film with his signature, aggressive, tabloid-style energy, utilizing stark, high-contrast black and white cinematography to expose the ugly, hypocritical underbelly of polite American society. It is a fast-paced, highly cynical thriller that features incredibly sharp, hard-boiled dialogue and a deeply sympathetic, complex female antihero. For fans of hard-hitting, uncompromised classic cinema, this is a towering achievement. So there you have it, 15 incredible, deeply psychological art house masterpieces currently hiding in plain sight on Max. From the shredded military uniforms of This Is Not a War Story to the neon-wrenched panic of Good Time, these films prove that the best cinema requires you to actively engage with the screen. Let me know down in the comments which of these hidden gems you are adding to your watch list tonight. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.